Hello Gobs, and welcome back to a very special episode of RPG Horror Stories. Which I think I'm going to change it to just RPG Stories now. So you know what? Episode 28, I think that's what this episode is. 28, 29, whatever the number. From here on out, we're just going to call it RPG Stories. Now would this suck to change, at least in the one playlist? Sure. But I'm going to just leave all the previous videos as horror stories, and from starting now, going forward, we're just going to call RPG Stories. Okay? Because we're reading every type of story. Now, what makes this a special episode, if you couldn't tell by the title, I'm reading stories from you guys. Stories you've left in the YouTube comments, and stories you've left on my Reddit. At least there's only been one more story added. Hey, if you want your story to be read, well, I guess you can leave it anywhere, because I'm going to read it. Which reminds me, if you ever see your story on one of my videos and you don't want me to keep it in there, just leave a comment and then I'll reply to you whenever I cut it out, and then you can delete your comment and you can just disappear. Because I actually listen to my gobs, okay? I'm a good king. Let's just get on with these YouTube comments. Now, as I'm recording this, some of these YouTube comments I've referenced in other videos I've already have up on the channel, so some of them seem familiar, that's why. But this is the first time I'm sitting down and actually reading them to you guys through and through. So, with the intro out of the way, trying to keep it short, it's probably not that short, but you know, I'm trying to work on the intros, guys. Keep them shorter for you. We are going to get into today's RPG stories. Of course, these are all going to come from various YouTube videos I have uploaded. So, I will say the name of them, and you guys can go check them out and give some love to the original commenter. This person uses AI to make a game. And our story, well, it's not really a story. It's more of just like a minor nitpick this person had. But I included it in my Why I Hate AI Gob Rants video. And this comes from Alex Medeiros, 3432. He says, I truly hate how AI made people so lazy. I have a player on my live table. They used AI to ask what paladin spells were instead of asking me because I was there. B, same player also used it to make their character's backstory, and it was so unseasoned and generic I could slap any isekai protagonist in there. I liked them, they do good roleplay, but the over-reliance on AI is getting on my nerves. Now that is the end of the comment. Thank you for commenting on my video. Every little bit help, guys. And this sucks. If you guys have seen either of those videos, you guys know by now I do not like AI generated content whatsoever. Not even a little bit. Okay, maybe a little bit, but you know, if it didn't have the environmental impact, it would be way better, but it doesn't. Okay, it still sucks on the environment, just like everything else. So I don't think AI is that good to use. Because I went over this in my Why I Hate AI video, I'm not gonna sit on it too long here. But again, more love to this person. You know, every time a person comments, whether it's good or bad, you know, I gotta send them some love. Or not love. Let's send them gold instead. That feels a lot better. But yeah, the first part being, as I said in my Gob Rants video, you shouldn't have to ask AI what your spells do. Just ask your DM, open your book, ask to borrow the book, look it up online. Assuming this is in D&D, it should be really easy to find these spells. And then the second part, to make your backstory, once again, work with your DM to help you create a backstory. They even give you like little prompts in the class if this is D&D. You know, whenever you go to pick your background on like Beyond or whatever, or at least in the book, they always have like little tables to help you. I think they either ask you questions or you can like pick one from the background, and it kind of determines your character's neutral stance, the good stance, what happened to them, and stuff like that. So there are things in there. There are places you can go to help generate a backstory that isn't using AI. Especially like your DM here, who doesn't want you to use AI. You should always, you know, listen to your DM when it comes down to stuff like this. But Once again, thank you for leaving a comment, and let's move on to our next RPG horror story coming from you guys. Our next story comes off the video. DM gets mad when a player dislikes awful homebrew rules. Another RPG horror stories. Oh, might I add, these are some of my most popular ones, okay? I like seeing the big numbers, not gonna lie, okay? It's kinda awesome when I see these really big numbers on these videos, okay? So, thank you for watching. I'll say it again at the end, but this has a little in between right now. Thank you for watching. But our next story comes from the commenter, Brett Schaff 8772. I was once invited to join a new 3.5e game. First red flag. I show up and that guy says, why did I say it like that? I'm too excited. I show up and the guy says, oh, I didn't think you would show. And is clearly annoyed. Red flag number 2. Shows me his libraries of rulebooks and printed PDFs, making clear that I know that he knows the rules. Number 3. I make a wizard. He lectures me about material components. I say that I am taking issue materials. He becomes angry, saying, core rules only! Dude, it's in the player handbook. Only the other players backing me and showing him that this was the case got him to back down. Late in the session, we get into a room where these things come out of the coffins and attack us. We're getting mauled, so I call a retreat. The moment we do, the things don't follow us. They get back into the coffins. We test the theories, and they do that the next time too. So I say we run across the room and through the other door as quickly as possible. There's no treasure in this place now. None. He kills every PC except one. End result, after the session, I get an angry email from him disinviting me from his games and accusing me of being a rules lawyer and having read the module. And that's the end of our story. Yeah, this sounds like just an overbearing DM who can't let go of the rules at least a little bit. Now, I'm a rules lawyer, okay? That term carries a lot of negative connotations. See, I can use big words. I got a big brain underneath this crown, okay? And I should make a video about rules lawyer now that I think about it. You know what? Add it to the pile. But anyways, rules lawyers are usually people who try to use the rules to get what they want, okay? That's what a rules lawyer tends to mean. It's like somebody who actively hurts other people by constantly putting the rules on them. Look, the game has rules. How much they follow them is completely up to the group. That's how that goes. Okay, you guys don't have to follow all the rules to a T, but sometimes it's nice to have a person who actually knows what everything in the game does, or at least what most of the things in the game does. I'll say it, I'm a rules lawyer, okay? I like reading the rules book front to back. It's just what I do. Now that I think about it, I've been talking over the pop filter this entire time. What's the point of a pop filter if I'm not going to use it to protect my pops? That sounds like underwear. Anyways, I think rules lawyering gets bad whenever a DM has already made judgment and they keep trying to push it, or if a DM has already okayed a player, they're like, wait, you can't actually do that according to the rules. And I think I do that like a little bit, but I don't ever push the issue. I'm like, hey, I don't think you can do that in the rules. I think they say something else, but if you want to do it that way, that's cool. At least if I have done that in the past, I'm sorry. I think I've worked on that by now. But anyways, I think that's when rules lawyering gets annoying, when they just keep trying to push the rules and it's like, no, you have to do it this way. You have to do what the book says. You have to do it. The DM has no say. The book has the say. When it's quite the opposite. The DM has permissions, I guess, above the book. Okay? When it comes down to it, the DM is always better to go off of than the book. And yeah, it just sounds like not a fun game. So yeah, did the right thing and leave. 3 red strikes. Red strikes? Do they have to be red? Red flags. 3 strikes. That's what I'm thinking. But 3 strikes. You try to give them a couple chances. Didn't work out. Just left. Anyways, I should have another horror story lying around here somewhere. I will respond to all the Gobrant's comments eventually, someday. In fact, I should do that soon, now that I think about it. Why not? Throw it on a pile. Okay, we have our next story, which actually comes from this person uses AI to make a game system. Another one. This story comes from Loonloons. Now, I know that there's a thing where you can pick a different name than your handle. So again, guys, go to these videos, not just for the views, but to give love or gold to the original commenter. That's what we're doing around here. We're not giving love, we're getting gold, which is sort of like love because we love gold, but it's not weird because it's gold. But anyways, this person comments, you know, I want to tell the horror story. Not as bad as anything here, more consequences coming to the actions of a player. So, this all happened about a year ago in a campaign that we still play to this day. We were in a circus run by one of the BBGs as they plot to collect magic users' blood. So we were snooping around trying to figure out how she was doing it. The barbarian in our party decided to do something we had no idea of understanding. He grabbed a bottle of fizzy drink, grabbed some other stuff, tied it all together and made a pipe bomb. We could not further stop him as he cast invisibility on himself and, using one of the attractions, flew himself over to the staff area. Then he saw someone tending to the animals and decided to throw the pipe explodey towards the animals. Well, the person tending them happened to be both a monk and another BBEG, so she deflected it like a missile right towards the barbarian's face. And so he was fighting both BBEGs in the circus at the same time before we could even get to him or understand what's going on. He died. Straight up. The circus lady BBEG killed him. We had to drag its corpse to the exit too. That was a fun one. And don't worry, we revived him later, although he died later again, and nothing came of it after all. We're still playing and still enjoying the campaign. Now, I want to say, this is kind of barbarian behavior, if I'm going to be honest, okay? Barbarians aren't the brightest tools in the shed, but you know me, you don't have to roleplay what your statistics actually are, but it kind of just sounds like this player was having a bit too much fun, but, you know, in the other hand, I mean, they got the consequences, and it seems like they learned because they got to keep playing, and since I haven't seen any other, unless you're harboring your RPG horror story from me. How dare you? How dare you? But anyways, they didn't get kicked out or anything, and their character eventually died, so it all turned out for the better. As long as they weren't impacting the way you played and you were still having fun, then all's good. Unless they were, then all's bad. They should have said something about it. I mean, this should have been a good sign, you know, when they want to go off and do their own thing and kill, presumably, an innocent bystander by throwing a pipe bomb at them. Anyways, if you ever have a problem with anybody, talk to the DM about it. You can always do it after the session too, when you're not eating up in-game time, unless it's that horrendous. Then you can stop the game and talk to them, okay? Your rule 0, your safety tools, find out what the kind of campaign you're playing, if it's a serious or a comedy one. All the regurgitated RPG stuff, and let's see if I can't find... Dang it, I closed it out again. Let's see if I can't find one last story from the comments. Okay. I managed to find one more, and I think that's enough to make a video. But even if it is, I'm still gonna go to my Reddit and read that story from that poster there. So this is the last of the YouTube comments. So if you have other RPG horror stories, okay, have you left in my comments, either let me know in the comments down below, or you can tell them here, or you can go to my Reddit, or if you don't want anyone else to see them, but you still want me to read it, then you can send me an email. There's tons of places you can send me stories, and it doesn't have to be horror. I keep saying horror. That's just the name of the series, even though I said I was going to change it. But it can be comedy, it can be funny. I mean, what is it? Glory's funny, horror. Those are like the 3 types of stories. I mean, Glory is also kind of funny too. Those kind of intermeld together. But regardless, whatever RPG story, whether it's tabletop or an MMO even, I want to read MMO stories. That seems fun. Put them down in those places. Our last story comes from Creator Official. Thank you so much for leaving all your comments and your continued support. This is for dumb. Move aside, gobs. I definitely didn't steal that from another YouTuber, okay? But, let's read this little horror story that they have for us. And this also comes from a God Branch. But it's, when I say respond to God Branch, I'm talking about the comments about opposing viewpoints in that video, okay? And those aren't going to be like a hateful response video responding to my haters. No, this is just it's just a fun little thing to explore these opposing ideas and give my thoughts on them. But anyways, this comes from the Realism in TTRPG's Gob Rants video, which I think is my first Gob Rants video. Here is what they said. I once played in a homebrew system with mechanics that were intended to be somewhat realistic, but they ended up feeling pretty clunky and like we were playing with tank controls. I played a fighter class that relied on guns. Reloading after firing once took 5 turns, so I only shot once per combat. Our inventory slots were in the 10s, maybe less. Some weapons take 2 slots, gun ammo takes 1, and armor takes a slot per defense point. So you're either really squishy intentionally or you gain fatigue from encumbrance. You take stress points every time you take damage or fail a save. And if you take too much damage, your soul gets corrupted and you can permanently lose your character. The GM even considered that when you pull items out of your bag, you must roll or something to rummage through it and find what you're looking for. Might be misremembering the exact mechanic. Not really a horror story, but it wasn't great fun either. We spent more time just acquiring horses for transportation, tracking inventory weight, and looking for places to eat and sleep than we did role-playing. Now, if you want to see what I feel about realism and TTRPGs, well, go check out that video, because I have my gripes about it. And yeah, as I originally commented, it doesn't really sound like realism, because realism, not hating on you, I'm just saying, realism tends to be more like pounds and stuff. I even think I said this in the comment. This just sounds gritty. You know, when people like want to make it realistic, they always just end up making it gritty and not realistic. They just make the game harder, but it's not more realistic, if that makes sense. Now, if you truly want to play realistic, then go ahead. I'm sure there's systems out there that try to get to close as real life as possible. But why would you want to do that in a fantasy game? Of course, I guess you could sit down and sign up for it, like, hey, session 0, we're going to play a realistic game today. So I guess you can go ahead and do that. I mean, not I guess you can go. I mean, you're going to do that. You're going to sit down and find out what this campaign is about. You have to, for the sake of your mind and having fun. But anyways, if you're not having fun, just recommend, like, hey, can we play a system that's not realistic, okay? In fact, these were homebrew. It was a homebrew system. If you want realism, okay, you want to get kind of close, like I said, there's systems out there. I don't think you're ever going to get super realism with a TTRPG, as I said in my realisms rants. I think I said that. But anyways, that is the last of our story from you guys in the YouTube comments. Now let's head over to the Reddit real quick and read a story from a previous poster. Remember guys, check out my Reddit, okay? We need more gobs there. You get a bit of an extra long video today, okay? You guys are no stranger if you're a subscriber, so subscribe to become a gob. But you gobs are no stranger to my long videos. Back again! Altmanzo, peeving off the French DM enough to resend an invite. Alt title, how a French DM refused my withdrawal to uninvite me and try to get me in trouble. A Pathfinder 2e game I was trying to start died due to scheduling issues a few months ago, mainly because of my irregular work hours. So I looked on a Pathfinder Discord to see if I could join a game as a player. I hit up Discord and found a DM. Let's call him Frank, a French-American who moved back home to be closer to his roots. And the game was set in magical reality, France. The setting was similar to real history, but tech was magic and fantasy races everywhere. The game was set in modern day, where we will be dealing with the dark wizard organized crime rings in the old catacombs. The player characters, either ex-military or civilians, wanted to confront the dark wizard criminals or explore the old catacombs, which were the resting place of a powerful lich behind the Black Death. I thought, that sounds cool, so I talked to the DM. After a week of research and writing, I noticed most of the party were marshals or castles with little to no support. I created a third-generation no inventor who had to switch from full-time to part-time schooling because her family was cheated out of their pension promised by the government for moving from the colonies and working over 30 years. She took a job at the local Match Tech cart shop, capturing visions with her eye orb of her side projects. which became popular on Uscry. The Nolan Veteran was eager to dive into the catacombs because the wizards had kidnapped her younger sister, and she felt the general hostility in the Nolan orc slums couldn't be tolerated anymore. But community leaders feared retaliation, and the city guard didn't show up. Seeing she had a following on Astral Web, some untested gadgets, devices, and questionable firearms, she was ready to confront those threatening her family and community. The DM read the document and shared it with the party to take notes, and they didn't like it. At first, I thought it was because it was too political or a very American take on fantasy France. It turned out to be more than that. He didn't like that it assumed the colonies were always bad in this world. In his settings, thanks to magic, France still retains all of its colonies. The Vietnam War never happened, the USA never bought the Louisiana Territory, nor did it have the American Civil War, the wars in Haiti. Is that how you say it? Guys, please don't call it at me. It's Haiti. Oh my gosh, that's gonna kill me. I know how to say it, I just can't say it at the moment. That's any word you don't know how to say. I don't know how to say it. Let me look it up later. Whatever. I'm leaving it in there. Sorry, all my Haiti viewers. Anyways. Or the Caribbean never occurred. Nope, none of that. Her subjects are never happier, and the world is a much better place, except for the occasional secret society trying to threaten the world. Okay, I asked what changed and got back none, but at least he clarified. So I started asking about the threat and got back to the secret society of Germany, gnomes, and goblins. World War I and World War II happened, with a full French victory, naturally. Man, this really is a fantasy, huh? The French winning? I'm sorry, all my French viewers. The gnomes from the banking clans are angry over lost investments, and the goblins, who have linked to genies in the Middle East, are mad about the lack of chaos. So they teamed up to destroy France and destabilize the world, which made me uncomfortable and concerned. In turn, Frank became defensive and angry, telling me he was just drawing influences from World of War, Heroes of Might and Magic, and Arcanum of Steamworks and Magic. The last part concerned me as a spoiler for a nearly 25-year-old game. Oops. The gnomes were part of a half-ogre breeding program, became an economic force. They invested early in steam engine and sought more control by breeding ogres with the political class they replaced. The developers said anti-Semitic conspiracy theories from that time inspired this. I tried not to overthink it, as I am prone to paranoia, and the game and its quests remain quite abstract. He also told me that he wasn't too much in the mood for politics, as his grandfather had passed away in France and he and his father were having trouble getting him buried in his hometown. I apologized, expressed my sympathies for his loss, and initially asked why he hadn't elaborated on the answer I received. You guys can go read the original story. This is my midway censor, blocking out the personal details of the other person. Let's just say his family wasn't allowed to be buried in the original place that they wanted, and that's our blocker. Go read the original story, okay? More attention to this person, okay? Go give him some gold for posting on the Reddit. I just don't ever feel like reading personal details on the channel, okay? Even if it's a fake name, okay? I'm not that type of guy, okay? I did it in another previous video, so I'm going to do it here. So I heard enough and politely declined, claiming that the time frame didn't work, but the DM told me to wait. The next day I received a lengthy message stating that my behavior was unacceptable and that he was withdrawing the invitation. He said he knows I really wanted to be in his game, but he was the DM and gets to decide who belongs there, not you. He had already informed the server mods and blocked me. I did get a message from the mod about being disruptive and rude. I provided screenshots, which the mod thanked me for. Sometime after work, I saw that he was no longer on the server and received more angry messages from Frank, which I just blocked. I asked the mod, and it turns out he was a repeat offender of community rules, with reports of his behaviors and personal truths, the last one being an attempt to edit his replies to make himself look better. TLDR, DM makes the world where France never lost in anything, reveals the details about his personal life that makes me nope out of the game, tries to get me in trouble, and ends up getting booted instantly. It seems like someone couldn't separate fantasy from real life. I'm not sure what about the story. I might have missed something as I was reading. I might have glazed over or whatever, and I was just reading for the heck of it. But I'm not sure what part of your story was exactly political. I mean, in a setting like this, everything's kind of political. Was it the secret society part or something of your character that wanted to go and do that, and that was too political for them, I guess? Which is, again, is why I'm cutting out the whole their side, their backstory, or the personal details that they wanted to share. It just made our OP here a bit uncomfortable in order to continue on with the game, which I understand greatly. Like, you just gonna dump all that on me and a person I barely met? But again, if you can't separate an idea from what's happening in the game, because for me, from an outsider's perspective, was it the colonies were bad? Is that what this person was saying? Even though this is a fictional universe, this is supposed to be alternate history, so you shouldn't link it back to the original. And again, the DM should have just corrected the OP if the story was that bad and told them specifically what was wrong and what to change if they really wanted to. I don't really see the big deal here. Cool setting with a lot of cool details, except for the whole France wins. Come on, I'm not one for being realistic, but French people winning? Come on, this is total BS. The rest of it's cool though. But anyways, aside from the settings, doesn't sound like a DM you would want to play with. Just saying. I mean, if they're a repeat offender and they got kicked off the server, wow, that sucks. Well, anyways, it sounded like you dodged a bullet there. Sorry if I'm scatterbrained, but we are at the end of the video. And I want to make this outro short so I can get you gobs along to your next video. Hopefully, it's one of mine. I should change the end screen to that. Maybe the poster, when they see this video, can explain it to me just a bit better. I mean, I get the whole idea. I just don't really see the whole political side of it. What do you guys think? Did you guys like hearing your own stories? Remember, go give some gold. Some goblin gold. I'm kooky right now. Thanks for leaving comments, everybody. Seriously, every little view, every little comment, thank you for watching. I said it again, but every comment, every view, every like, everything helps. You don't need to share. I wouldn't want to share my own videos. I mean, I share them to you, Twitter and stuff. Social media in the description below. And I thank you guys who are subscribed for your continued support. And those who aren't subscribed and you're still here, thank you for watching. Did you have any favorites? Do you have your own stories to tell me? I'm a broken record now. I'm leaving. I'm exiting the cave. I'm actively walking towards my door. Actually, I'm in the RPG room. I'm moving to the other cave and moving slowly to the door. So I hope you gobs have a lop of a day. May your adventures be free from awful people. Okay, I slammed the door. Was that a good sound effect? Did it sound like a real door? Okay, I'm behind the door now. Does it sound like I'm behind the door? Okay, goodbye.